at every level, in every race, for every office. When abortion is on the ballot, it wins.
This week in Pennsylvania, abortion not on the ballot officially, but it helped Democrats win big across the Commonwealth. History, or should I say herstory, made on both ends of the state. Philly mayor, Allegheny County chief executive. And on this Veterans Day weekend, a push in the state legislature to help veterans who own businesses. Hello and welcome to This Week in Pennsylvania, and happy Veterans Day to all of those who served. I'm Dennis Owens. We're covering hot topics in PA policy and politics, as well as the issues that are important to both you and your family. Well, Pennsylvania is often considered a purple state and a battleground state, but on Tuesday, voters made clear that at the moment it's a blue state, and nobody's bluer about that than Republicans. Elections large and small across the Commonwealth went to Democrats, none bigger than state Supreme Court, where Philly Democrat Dan McCaffrey defeated Republican Carolyn Carluccio. Statewide courts are typically close affairs. This one was not.
The thing that I was most shocked about was, the size of the win. This was, Notre Dame football versus Little Sisters of the Poor. We won by 200,000 votes. 6 points in a statewide judicial election is, listen, when Carolyn Carluccio called me the other night, she said, this wasn't close. This was a mandate you got.
On Commonwealth Court, another Philly Democrat, Matt Wolf, a municipal judge in Philadelphia, defeated Cumberland County attorney and former state Senate parliamentarian Megan Martin. And in the race for two open seats on Superior Court, it was Jill Beck and Tamika Lane, both Democrats, defeating their Republican opponents. 4 open statewide seats, 4 wins for Democrats. It was also Ladies' Night on both ends of the Commonwealth. We begin in the city of brotherly love, where voters showed womanly love in the mayor's race. Democrat Sherelle Parker defeated Republican David O. to become the 100th mayor of Philadelphia and the first ever woman to hold that office. Parker replaces Jim Kenney, who served the maximum 2 terms. Philadelphians haven't elected a Republican mayor since the 1950s. And on the opposite side of the state, former state rep and progressive Sarah Innamorato defeated retired businessman Republican Joe Rockey. It's considered a big win for the progressive movement nationwide. While abortion rights were not officially on the ballot in PA, it's pretty clear the right to choose motivated so many voters to choose Democratic candidates. 4 statewide judicial seats up for grabs. 4 Democrats claim them.
It's kind of a blue wave.
Dickinson College President John Jones is a former federal judge. He says D.C. justices who overturned Roe versus Wade more than a year ago impacted judge races in PA Tuesday.
I think that the Supreme Court of the United States, in ruling so starkly in the Dobbs case, handed a clear sort of cause to the Democratic Party nationally, and it's resonating.
Democrats claimed courts, flipped counties, and are winning in the court of public opinion across the Commonwealth.
When abortion is on the ballot, it wins. Our rights have been threatened.
Signe Espinosa runs Planned Parenthood PA, thrilled at Tuesday's electoral victories and promises more, with abortion rights leading the way.
We're celebrating, but really all eyes on 2024. This is just the beginning for us.
The pro-life PA Family Institute pushes back, saying a pregnant woman is 2 patients. Quote, with abortion clinics, only one makes it out alive. It's the job of the pro-life community to convince our fellow citizens that we can and should love and protect them both, mother and child.
I've seen great election nights for the red side, and I've seen bad ones. And this was so.
Jeffrey Lord is a Republican commentator and Donald Trump confidant, and he says politically, Republicans have an abortion problem.
At the moment, it's become a hot-button issue. Democrats are pressing it, and, it works for them.
Weakness at the worst possible moment for the GOP. In less than a year, Battleground PA will have president, U.S. Senate, congressman, 3 statewide row offices, state house and Senate all on the ballot. Perhaps a party-wide correction is in order?
I think Republicans have to be very careful about getting behind people's bedroom doors. I think that is a losing proposition ultimately for Republicans. I think the public doesn't like it.
As the public showed Tuesday night. So it was a big night for Democrats, and the state's top Democrat gave us his take on those election results.
Democrats are the party of addition. We want to add rights and add freedom to folks, and Republicans seemingly just want to take them away, whether it's bullying a trans kid or telling a woman she can't make decisions over her own body or telling me as a parent what books my kids are allowed to read. People want to make those decisions for themselves, not be told by some extreme politician.
Youth was also served Tuesday in Somerset County, where voters elected one of the youngest candidates in Pennsylvania history. Ethan Philippi just won a spot on the school board of the Conemaugh School District. Ethan is 18, the minimum age to run for that job. He started running while he was still in high school. Now graduated, he says he wants to make a difference in his former district.
School boards have starting to become like a political weapon to ostracize students, to ostracize staff, and basically be used as a political tool. And that's something that really needs to be avoided.
Ethan passed the electoral test, but is currently studying for real tests, his final exams at Pitt Johnstown. Good luck, Ethan. Another fallout from the election, and here we go again. There will be an open seat in the state house and another deadlock in the chamber at some point. Bucks County Democrat John Galloway won his race for magisterial district judge. His swearing in will be in January. At some point prior to that, he will resign his House seat, and the chamber will be 101 to 101 until a special election can be held to replace him. Well, Ohio voted to legalize recreational marijuana Tuesday. That makes Pennsylvania and West Virginia the only holdouts in this region. A number of PA lawmakers say the Commonwealth should join them, arguing it's losing out on revenue, especially because Philadelphia and Pittsburgh neighbor New Jersey and Ohio, where weed is legal. But opponents argue that money just isn't worth it.
The science has really gotten very clear in the last several years related to not only the physical health issues, but the mental health issues. You know, it's not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is about public health for Pennsylvanians.
Like if somebody came up to, I would like to think, any legislator and said, here's a way to jail fewer people and make more money for the Commonwealth without hurting anybody, I would like to think that that legislator would say yes.
There have been bipartisan bills to legalize adult use marijuana, but they've not seen much movement in the legislature. Governor Shapiro is supportive. Well, happy Veterans Day to all of you who served, and thank you. Simple, thank you. You are appreciated. The state Senate wants to help veteran-owned businesses. It passed a bill that would create a logo or marker to let customers know that this business is owned by someone who served. It would be free of charge, and it's Camera Bartolotta's bill. She's confident it will boost businesses.
My other owner, he just passed away.
It would be an identifiable marker on the establishment, either a door, window, or something, but it's really just a logo that can be used in many different ways. It can be used in advertising material. It can be used on websites.
And to participate, businesses would register with the state and must be at least 51% owned by a veteran. Well, coming up, we're talking election night, which was ladies' night, and Republicans are sad that the state went so blue. We're breaking it all down coming up. Welcome back to This Week in Pennsylvania. We are joined now by State Senator Sharif Street of Philadelphia, who made history a year ago by becoming the first African-American chosen as chairman of the statewide Democratic Party. Thanks for joining us, Senator. Big night for Democrats. You've swept races, as we've been saying, from school boards, county commissioners, and, of course, the statewide judges, all four of those. Does all the credit go to the new chairman?
Look, I think certainly the credit should go to the people of Pennsylvania and all the Democratic organizers who worked really hard. We've knocked over 300,000 doors. We had over 1,300 volunteers get engaged, and over 60 organizers were hired, and sent over 250,000 text messages. So there was a real grassroots effort, and I want to thank everybody on the team that was engaged. And we had great candidates who were in our statewide judicial races who were prepared to fairly administer justice and represented the values of Pennsylvanians. And down ticket, wow, with the energy and enthusiasm from school board races to county commissioner races, all of those things were happening.
What is your biggest takeaway? I'm sure you've poured over some numbers. What's your biggest takeaway from Tuesday night's results?
Well, I would say that we Democrats performed well in not only was turnout up in urban areas where we'd expect it to be up, but we also had stronger numbers in places like Luzerne and Berks and places that people wouldn't have ordinarily expected Democrats to perform real well. And I think it's because a combination of organizing and being right on the issues helped advance us and move us forward.
So if the headline is big Democrat win, what's an area of concern for Democrats as we head into 2024? Because as you know, the 2024 race, now that 2023 is done, is front and center.
Well, I think the big thing that always makes me worry on years like this is the people will think, will take it for granted, will take away the work, will think that we don't have to work real hard, will take for granted that that we're going to and can win. We need to be just as vigilant next year as we were this year, and we need to work just as hard to win next year. Each and every year, the voters make us earn those victories, and I think this year we were able to do that. And hopefully, I'm only concerned that people might not realize, become more lackadaisical and not be as engaged in the process as we need them to be next year.
The head of Planned Parenthood PA, as you may have just heard, said they will continue to push abortion issue. It's a big winner for Democrats, at least it was this year. A loser for Republicans. Was the Dobbs decision a gift that keeps on giving for Democrats?
Well, I don't want to call any decision that takes away the rights of.
I was talking politically, though.
Yeah, national. I understand clearly, and but there are other people that will watch this. Will get clipped, not by you. That want to understand. One, the opposition was terrible. It was bad for the people of America. But I do think it angered people, and I do think that the anger around it has caused people to come out and vote for Democrats who represent their values.
Is Democrats' official position, if they have one, that they support abortions right up until birth, so-called abortion on demand?
Look, I don't think we're a big tent. We have a lot of views, but Democrats disagree. I think generally speaking, Democrats disagree with the Dobbs decision and believe Roe v. Wade was correctly decided.
Democrats have not had a majority in the state Senate where you sit since 1993, and then it was only 1 year. It is currently 28-22 Republican. Is what happened on Tuesday night giving you a thought that you have a legitimate shot of retaking control in 2024?
Well, look, there is a path to the majority. We're only down 3 seats. When I was elected to the Senate, there were 16 Democratic senators and there were 34 Republicans. So putting this in context, that the fact that we're only down 3 seats when Republicans literally had more than a 2/3 majority when I arrived is a sea change. And so certainly I think we're encouraged by the results.
Pennsylvania is considered a battleground state after the results from Tuesday. Should they be? Is it squarely in the blue column?
No, I think we're still a battleground state. Look, the Republicans hold 2 statewide elected positions in the treasurer and auditor general. Republicans still hold a majority in the Senate. And while Democrats are fortunate to control a majority in the House, we've had a lot of wins lately. I think polls would indicate that we are still very much a battleground state, and that that either party, if it represents fairly the views of Pennsylvanians, has a chance to win. But right now, Republicans continue to embrace an extremist far-right agenda, and that's not where Pennsylvanians are. If you look at when Republicans have been successful in Pennsylvania, it's been folks like Tom Ridge and Arlen Specter, who were much more moderate. And the Republicans of today are just sort of not your grandfather's Republicans. But they're still. So I think we can win, but I think it's definitely still a battleground state.
If I could get a quick answer from you, and I know you don't want this job, but if you were chair of the Republican Party, what would you do, and what would you recommend for them to course correct?
Well, look, I don't want the job, but I think Donald Trump is a disaster. He is a disgrace, and he is a criminal, and they need to reject his sort of extremist agenda. And I think that will begin to move them towards a more moderate space. I think you got to go back to being politics more like Arlen Specter and Tom Ridge, and away from the extremist agenda that we see more and more today.
Okay, Senator Street, thanks so much for being with us. Stay with us. Much more This Week in Pennsylvania when we come right back. Welcome back to This Week in Pennsylvania. More with Christopher Nicholas of Eagle Consulting Group, our analyst, Danielle Gross of ClearPoint Communication. Thank you both for being here. It was kind of Super Bowl for us. Of course, we got a Super Bowl coming up in 2024, but Tuesday was Super Bowl. I want to pick up on something Senator Street just said, that Republicans should repudiate Donald Trump. Well, the New York Times just came out last week before our election. They had polls in 5 battleground states, including Pennsylvania, and in 4 of them, Donald Trump was leading, including in Pennsylvania, by 7, 8, 9 points in some places. Where's Donald Trump in this?
What I found interesting about that, because look, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, there's no mystery to either of those guys, right? We've been with them for a lot of years.
Oh, a lot of people are through with it too, but that's another story.
In that poll you talked about, New York Times, Siena College, they asked the question, what if Donald Trump is convicted of a felony? And in Pennsylvania, there was a 13-point swing where he went from +9, Donald Trump, to -4 here if that felony conviction comes. And I was very surprised by that. I didn't think there was that much elasticity in the numbers here on that. So that to me is the real wild card for my party is, do we want to go forward with the guy who's facing, 92 charges or something like that? The odds of him being convicted of at least one of them is fairly high. So what does that mean for us next year versus Joe Biden, whose big problem is people think he's too old? There's no remedy to that.
Some people see the election results of the other night and say, has Pennsylvania gone blue now? Are they not even a battleground state anymore? And would a Donald Trump even stand a chance?
Well, to me, the big picture is that even in traditionally Republican counties, Lancaster County, York County, the Democrats chipped away.
Where we're sitting, Dauphin County, by the way.
Yes, definitely. Dauphin County.
They flipped for the first time in history.
A Dauphin County, or Democratic
Democrats,
for the first time in history. And there are several municipalities and school boards that have Democratic control for the first time ever. To me, that really is an indication that people really are sick and tired of the culture war. And what we saw in a lot of the seats that flipped in school boards was people who maybe gave their Republican candidates the benefit of the doubt, but when they came on board and they saw that they were pushing these culture war stories, that they were costing their districts millions of dollars in taxpayer money.
Well, I think you saw the opposite of that too. In Philadelphia, our mayoral candidate only got 25%, but that's double what voter registration would say he would get. In Allegheny County, the second largest county, the Republican for county executive got more than 49% of the vote. So if there's a chipping away in some red counties, we've seen some chipping away in some of the blue counties too. That's what makes our state politics so darn interesting, Dennis. And
it was ladies' night on both ends of the state. Cheryl Parker, congratulations, sir. The first mayor of Philadelphia was appointed by William Penn hundreds of years ago. This is the first time they've gotten around to electing a woman.
Well, look, as you said in the opening, there haven't been a Republican mayor there since, I think you said, the 50s.
Yeah.
So, they had a whole bunch of white guys, and they had some black guys. Now they finally got around to a black woman. Good for her. But, it's kind of a fait accompli where it's 7-1 Democrat in Philly.
Okay. We're going to be right back with more with our analysts. Don't go anywhere. This Week in Pennsylvania after the break.
Most of these kind of third-party attacks came from independent expenditure groups, and we both agreed that they were distasteful at best, at worst defamatory.
Somebody spent a lot of money against you, but I guess they didn't get their money's worth.
Oh, I'll send them a Christmas card.
That's Supreme Court Justice-elect Dan McCaffrey. What does it mean that all 4 of those open seats on the statewide court went Democrat, and now the state Supreme Court will be 5-2 Democrat?
Well, I know Chris is going to disagree with me, but to me, I think it was a clear repudiation of the Roe versus Wade decision at the national level that was reversed. Nothing really changed per se based on the election today, but my daughter's 8. In 10 years, she'll be 18. 10 years, hopefully my reproductive system is all dusty and crusty and not working, and I don't have to worry about it.
Let me get that image out of my head.
But my daughter should be enabled to make her own health decisions, and that's who I voted for.
Her own health decisions have not been under the gun on that issue now, nor would they be, I think, in 10 years. What I found interesting is Carolyn Carluccio, the president judge of Montgomery County, the Republican nominee, the Democrats spent no time attacking her for what she did as a judge. They attacked her on 2 things. She changed her website, oh my God, and she has friends who are extremists. That's what they went to town on. To me, that's pretty tenuous.
Pretty tenuous, but it worked, and look for more of the same in 2024 based on what Signe Espinosa, Planned Parenthood PA just said.
My reproductive system tried to kill me for the first time when I was 16, and I can name probably 10 to 12 women off the top of my head who either have had life-threatening reproductive system complications, pregnancy complications, and childbirth complications. This is a matter of life and death for pregnant people. And this is extraordinarily important that we retain the ability to make these decisions over our lives and our deaths.
The last 3 judicial elections have not been a one-party sweep. So this was different this time in that one party, the Democrats, won all 4 seats. So now the Superior Court is, I believe, majority Democrat. The Supreme Court stays that way. Commonwealth Court, I think,
That's
is still
overwhelmingly Republican.
Is still Republican. Yeah. So in 2 years, we don't have a Supreme Court election unless one judge retires early. So we'll see how this plays out.
But let me ask you this. I mean, there's no, they've already stated, not Danielle, abortion's the issue, and it almost doesn't matter. My take is, it almost doesn't matter what the candidate says, the Republican candidate, or whether their office even touches abortion. People are outraged at that ruling and just want to go in and vote for Democrats as a result.
I think that's overstating a little bit, but I think, look, the Democrats think they have a good hand to play, and I think they're going to play it until it stops working. That's how politics normally works. So I would expect them to, next year, tell us how important that issue is for the state treasurer's race or something like that.
Well, I mean, but let me ask you, because Dave McCormick is going to run against Bob Casey.
He is running against
him. He's a Republican for U.S. Senate. Scott Perry here in this district here has a number of people lining up to run against him. Are they both, and Dauphin County here just switched to a Democratic commissioners. I mean, are they both looking over their shoulders and concerned about this whole thing?
I don't think either of them are going to change their position. I don't think Bob Casey, Senator Casey's going to change his position again. He's already changed it once or twice. So I think it will be an issue in a general election, maybe not so much in a primary.
Your thoughts?
I think the Republicans have totally changed what they've stood for, and they're paying the price.
Very good. On that note, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us for This Week in Pennsylvania. If you missed any of the show, you can catch it on thisweekinpennsylvania.com. Sure hope to see you next week right here on This Week.